And we got that right. On my first time back, I got it right.
Wonderful.
We're good. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cloud Chats on July 22nd, 2021, titled The Steam Deck, Kubernetes, and Docker, and a Honeypot. Ooh, Honeypot.
I love honey.
Yeah. I'm one of your hosts, Mason, and that way is Matt and Kim and Chris, and I got that one too.
That was great.
I tried. I new house, new directions to point. So, how's everyone doing?
Doing great. How's everyone else doing?
Doing well.
Doing well.
Yeah. And hello to our chat. If you're in chat, tell us where you're from. We love to hear where people are from. Every time I do a stream, I always get someone from Antarctica, which is hilarious. So,
wait, what?
Penguin-powered internet. It's great.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're in chat, come on in and tell us where you're listening from. And I guess we'll start off with our Hello World question today. And that is, what is the next programming language or framework that you want to learn?
So not the one you're currently learning. The next one.
This is a first. This is the first time we've had a viewer come in from Mars. We got Jacob over on Facebook.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, great. Mars. Love Mars.
What's up, Namdel from Vietnam?
That's right. Yes, I love the
cats.
I love the kitties too. They are cooperating and asleep right now.
Wow, that is amazing.
Best background.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got Andrew from Florida. Hello. Jonathan from Portugal. Love Kesh. We've got some answers already. So yeah, what's the next programming language or framework you want to learn? I haven't given this a whole lot of thought. I'm pretty new to Go, but that's what I'm currently learning. So I guess Rust is my next step. We'll see.
Yeah. Ooh. I had not thought about this one at all either.
It's a lot to think about when you're like, I just started. I'm so new at this other one.
I'm just gonna say Go. I'm trying to learn it, but I've also been saying that since I think we asked this question once before on like one of the very first Cloud Chats episodes, and it still hasn't changed. Still need to learn Go.
I think I'm with you on that one.
Like
I tried learning Go 3 years ago. Did not get it. I feel like it's still kind of on the ever-present list of things I want to do that I just don't have time to do. But yeah.
I took a whole course, a really good one, like that was highly recommended. I loved it. I learned it, and then I didn't write a single bit of Go code for a year after I learned the course. So now I don't know Go anymore.
Ooh, we've got Brian. Hey, Brian from Maryland. Tolgahan from Turkey. Yuvaraj from India. And Marcio from Brazil. Jacob's read the Go book. Is it the Go book? Is that the title of the book? I
think there is one that's titled. I think that might be the one I have. I took Stephen Greider's course on Udemy, and it's really good because it's a learn to program in Go, but we assume you already know how to program, so we're not going to spend the first 6 chapters teaching you what an if statement is.
Oh, that's quite nice.
It is. Yeah, it's learning to program for people that already know how to program and understand at least the core fundamentals of programming. Mm-hmm. So I really liked that.
So I'm Rust. Mason is Go. Matt and Chris.
I'm Go as well, I think.
Okay. All right. Go Book Club. Go Book Club is in our future.
I don't want to follow the trend. Actually, it used to be Go at one point, but I don't think I'm that interested in Go anymore. I don't think I'm interested in, maybe I'm just getting grumpy now. I'm not interested in many languages. It's like there's enough to do in the JavaScript land, Yeah, Lovekesh knows.
I mean, you get a new framework every week. How can you possibly keep up?
Yeah, but I'm just reading chat real quick.
Right. Okay, so we've got Lovekesh knows Chris's JavaScript. Brian used to work at DigitalOcean, and he wrote our Godot and Doctal. I think he started those projects. Those are written in Go.
Yes, they are. And I've worked on I think I've done a little bit on Godot because I every now and then I work on the Terraform provider and you have to like slightly implement some stuff. But like just because I have like one PR does not mean that I know Go.
I've written one whole project in Go, and yeah, I'm with you there. I still don't know Go at all.
Actually, I actually have a relatively popular open source project that's in Go, and it was the command line tool I wrote last year, Matt, to add the Hacktoberfest label to everyone's repo.
Is that in Go?
Nice.
That's in Go. I wrote that in Go. I took that as an opportunity to write a Go command line thing, and yeah, that's in Go.
Do you feel like you've learned any Go because of that, or are you still just like completely unsure about it?
If you put Go in front of okay, so I'm sure with enough Google I could, but like I think it all depends on could I write like a CS1 program like without the need of needing to Google something, and I could not do that in Go. I can do it in Python, I can do it in Java, but I can't do that in Go. So I feel like a little bit more Go practice. My goal is to work more on code this quarter, so I think we're going to get there this quarter. I'm excited.
I wish you the best with it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cheat then. I'm not gonna throw Go in. I mean, Rust is always up there. It's not really a language. I don't know what you classify it as. Compiler. I want to do a little more WebAssembly.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which
I think
is,
the last time
you know,
we asked
just
this question,
still JavaScript.
yeah, the last time we asked this question, Chris wanted to learn Go, but it's cool that he's left us behind.
I mean, you gotta focus is key, and you can't learn everything.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd build with Go that I couldn't already with my current tool set.
I honestly think I just want to learn it because I've kind of settled on the fact that I want to know one interpreted language and one compiled language really well. Like that's like I'm fine with being good at two programming languages, but right now I feel like I'm only really good at Python, and I'm intermediate on other things, and I want to get up to where I'm at least have one other language in my tool belt. Plus, I like the CNCF landscape, and I love building command line tools. So Go is really good at that. I actually have a whole book that I bought that's just learning Go, but by building command line tools. And it's cute.
Yeah. I like Samuel from Kenya says, this conversation reminds me of how much I've been postponing learning Go. Same.
I mean,
same.
I've been learning Go since I started at DigitalOcean, and it's almost been 2 years. So
yeah. And Gabriel says Python.
great language. Love it.
I was building an API last night for a tech talk I'm giving, and the data is users, and I have Chris Mason and I as users, and one of the fields is like last comment, and all I put for Chris was JavaScript, and for Mason I put Python.
Oh, it's great.
That's how Chris and I say goodbye. So
This is JavaScript.
Python. Awesome.
Sorry.
Shall we?
Matt.
Jump into news?
Oh, let's jump into news.
I don't know. We tend to ramble forever. So yes,
well, the first bit of news is very related, so I thought we could just
yes, we'll
smooth
segue right
transition
in.
into it.
We'll segue right into the news. This is our news flash segment where we go over all the things you want to know in the news. Apparently last week was
very slim view of the world.
Yes, because Matt fills out most of the news, which is why there's always so much space. So our first item comes out of the land of surveys. And JetBrains has published their 2021 developer ecosystem. I always look forward to this survey. Every year, it always offers a lot of good insights. But at this point, I feel like I could predict it.
Yes.
JavaScript is the most popular. We know. Python is more popular than Java in terms of overall usage. However, Java is more popular than Python as a main language, which I get. I can get that. Well, one, you have to realize, at least in the United States, Java is the primary teaching language.
Yes.
At universities and stuff. So it would make sense that a lot of honestly, I call Python my main programming language. I didn't do that until very recently. I always used to say Java was my main programming language because I spent 6 years of my educational career programming in Java. So I can totally see why that is there. The top 5 languages developers are planning to adopt or migrate to are Go. Yep.
Shocking.
Kotlin, I've been hearing a lot of Kotlin. Like, I've been hearing about Kotlin for so long. Kotlin and Scala. I mean, they both run on the JVM, right?
Kotlin definitely does.
I think I don't remember. No, Scala doesn't. Kotlin and what's the other one? There's just two of them that are like faster Java, and Kotlin is. And then you have TypeScript, which, Chris, do you know TypeScript?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, what's the difference between just really quickly? Like, what makes
Typing.
TypeScript?
It's JavaScript
Typing?
with types. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I love it when it's easy.
It's like typing in Python, basically, but as a whole new language.
Yeah. Then I forgot where I was at. The top 5 languages developers were learning in 2021 are JavaScript, Python, TypeScript, Java, and Go. And the 5 fastest growing languages are Python, TypeScript, Kotlin, SQL, and Go.
I just want to acknowledge the fact that Ruby has decreased in popularity, which upsets me a bit. Because
Ruby,
it's
Objective-C, and Scala, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, PHP is not even on the list, which upsets me.
However, you say that, but the last thing here is the majority of respondents develop for web backend.
Oh,
I think if
found
you drill into the survey a bit more, PHP is really high up in that.
I found that block 71% of backend people. Like that's a weird. That's
I think
a
it
weird.
might be the JetBrains. Like, if it is a JetBrains survey, that kind of leans it that way.
What does it though? Like,
I mean,
They
JetBrains
have
Well, I
more
guess
editors
web
for
tooling.
backend than front end.
they do. You only really have WebStorm, but then you've got what's the Ruby one? Like, do we
Ruby
consider?
Mine.
RubyMine. Then you've got PyCharm. Then you've got IntelliJ. Those are all backend. And then
and PHP Storm as well.
PHP Storm. Yeah, I always forget about that one because
Yeah.
I don't write PHP.
But I mean,
Like,
you
if you
know, a lot of
ask
those
this in
ideas. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask this in a VS Code survey, I mean, you'd probably
That'd
see
be
the
crazy.
exact opposite. Yeah.
I'm actually curious with that. I hope maybe they do that. That would be interesting because I mean, yeah, that would be neat.
Yeah.
We
Does
got some
anyone
questions
know-
in chat. What's up,
Well,
Kim?
do they
Go ahead,
release the raw data for this survey? I was
They
looking at
do.
another survey where they just had a Google sheet you could go look at the
Yes, so
data.
the 2021 data isn't released yet because they actually released this high-level summary, I think, earlier this week. But they do release the raw data a bit further down the road. And so
cool.
if you want to crunch it in your own way, you can.
That's cool.
Neato.
Go looks a lot like how we talk. There's way more people planning to adopt.
Yeah, we are representative.
We're gonna get to it. I promise. This is the year.
I feel like that block looks very similar to what it was last year and the year before.
I think it does. I swear, Go is almost technical debt at this point. Like, we'll fix it. We'll get to it eventually. But we've got a couple questions in chat. As when he says Java, does he mean JavaScript? No, I mean Java. Java's still it's an enterprise language, and it is still the primary language of enterprise. So it's very likely that you're going to see a lot of stuff written in Java. Kotlin is kind of taking over in that area. I remember us when we're like all of the stuff at my previous job was Java, and they were moving some of this stuff to Kotlin. So,
Chris, if you scroll down a bit more, there's a lovely line chart.
Yes. Love line charts.
I don't know. It's very crowded, but it looked very pretty.
well, because it has all the different colors.
Yeah. And it's a very nice line chart.
Oh, that's nice. The x-axis is years, so you can see JavaScript go up in 2019 and sort of stay there. That's interesting. I wonder why there was a dip in HTML and CSS in 2018.
Well, the dip in Python and Java are interesting. But look at the PHP uptrend. So Chris was sad about PHP, but the uptrend there on PHP looks really nice.
Yeah, that's true.
I presume that's PHP 7 and Laravel becoming more and more mainstream again.
I think 8 is up and coming now, just recently. But yeah, Laravel I think is a big resurgence of it, and everyone's kind of updating for PHP 8.
Nice. I mean, there's a huge percentage of websites on the internet that are built in PHP.
Yeah, it's a majority of
WordPress,
them.
very specifically.
Yeah, it's a majority of the websites on the internet are written in PHP.
Yeah.
Has Facebook completely moved off of PHP, or what are they up to?
I thought they still were on it, but I don't
Can they
know.
do a hard fork of one of the libraries?
Yeah, and then that like directly changed up the PHP framework lineup,
Mhm.
and then I think they went back because the PHP core became faster than their fork.
Oh, interesting.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, they rewrote PHP into Hack.
It was like hip hop or something.
No, it's called Hack, I think, isn't it?
Oh, I think it is Hack. Yeah.
Well, if I search Facebook Hack, I do not get the results I wanted.
Are you talking about the virtual
Hack language. Yes, it's called Hack.
Okay, yeah, because they had their transpiler back in 2010,
Huh.
which was replaced by HHVM,
Hip hop virtual
which was superseded by something else. I forget.
Is
But
Hack
okay, I mean, I'm good.
HHVM?
PHP got like 3 minutes of airtime, so
Yeah, we're good.
Move on.
We can. And our next story, it comes out of, I guess, Blenders. Adobe has joined the Blender Development Fund at a corporate sponsorship level of 30,000 euros a year.
Well, so that monetary value is not confirmed. It's just the article here says that they're a corporate gold sponsor now. And if you go and look at the tiering, gold sponsor level is 30k euros a year.
All right.
But who knows if they're actually paying that much?
Someone tell me what Blender is.
3D animation software? Question mark? Is that a good
Yeah.
story?
3D
yeah, I'm
creation.
looking
Oh,
for
cool.
like examples. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. I can see why
I've heard
Adobe
about it.
might want to be part of that.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
of it. I've never
Completely free and open source.
used it.
Wow.
So really cool bit of software.
Cool.
Our next story comes out of games. And once again, Steam has brought us a gaming thingamabob. I think we're going to go with thingamabob. So now they basically were like, the Nintendo Switch is cool. Let's make a gaming PC like it. So the Stream Deck has full access to your Steam library, and apparently a lot of really cool taptic, different type of controls and inputs. It's a Linux-based PC in your hand. And we're going to see how this goes, because, I mean, I remember the Linux box and the Steam box and all those other things, and we shall see.
So I think what was the high level here was it's AMD-based chip. I think it's a Zen 2 architecture, so it's pretty modern, and it's running SteamOS on it, which is Linux-based, and has, I think it's called Proton, is their intermediary layer that allows kind of games on Steam to run on Linux without any work from devs. So it should be, in theory, a seamless experience.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's a little bit weirded me out is the size of the hard drives on them. Like, the base model has 64 gigs, and I'm like, you can't. There's not a single tier 1 game these days that.
Yeah, GTA won't fit in that.
Yeah, it won't fit. Like the most expensive model only has 512 gigs. I'm like, oh, so I can play one game.
Yeah, I think the middle tier is expandable, but I took away as the pricing is just outrageous.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What a jump.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at PS5 and Xbox Series X prices there. And I know the benefit is mobile, but the screen is only 720p. I don't know.
You can't. Yeah, that's.
There's an M2 slot, really? I
Okay,
mean, that's
in that
cool.
case, you can expand it, yeah.
And it'll be fast, but that
But
adds on
still.
another like 150 you got to buy.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if you're. I don't know. I don't need to game that much that I need it in my pocket. So.
I think you can dock too.
Yes, yeah, it does have a dock. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing some reviewers get their hands on this and actually see what people think of it in person.
I am too. I'm really curious. I'm cautiously optimistic.
The ship date is 2022 though, if I'm right. No, 2021. Never
Well, that's
mind.
not too bad then. So, December, so just in time for the Christmas rush.
Hang on, Chris, scroll down like an inch. Okay, less than an inch. No, up. Expected order availability
Oh,
Q2
interesting.
2022. That's a very different date from what's above.
From right here. I took it as this is a really well done marketing disinformation site, I guess. Like draw your eye one way, and like I don't know, I've made a couple sales sites in my day, but
But no, we'll see.
and then like to find the screen resolution is like hardware. Like nowhere on here does it say 720, which I found interesting. Not fair. And then you can go to your tech specs. It's not here. Well, 720. Like it's nowhere until you get down here.
And it doesn't. Yeah.
And it doesn't even say. So I don't know. I lost some trust early on.
I would also mention that Mason called it a Stream Deck immediately.
Yes.
And I've also called it a Stream Deck multiple times already talking about it.
Yeah,
I had to read our outline
Best
3
product
times.
Yeah, these names are too close to each other. Well, who knows? Hopefully, it'll turn out good. Our next story comes from the world of things that makes Matt stay really bad.
Is that a sentence?
I don't know if it's a sentence. Let me try again. Things that upset Matt Cowley are I don't care. Just talk, Matt.
Sure. So first of all, be very clear. What's discussed in this blog post happened back in April. It is patched. No production stuff was affected, but no production libraries were affected by this. It was isolated to the test package involved. Long story short, a security researcher found a path traversal exploit in part of the logic behind CDN.js, which is Cloudflare's open source public CDN. It actually stems very interestingly from what is an open issue on Go. Talk about Go. When you do a tar unarchive with Go's standard library, for some reason they resolve symlinks by default, which is somewhat an anti-pattern. Basically, every other archiving tool generally doesn't do that by default. And because it was default, and we didn't really know it was default. We were resolving symlinks, and they weren't sandboxed or anything. And so this researcher published a package that had onto NPM that had a tar archive, because that's how NPM packages are actually distributed. And inside that was a symlink that navigated outside the package. And they dumped our environment into production, which was interesting. So like it was about 11 o'clock in the morning. I just got a message on Slack going, "Have you seen this commit to our GitHub? It's just our environment keys." Which is quite an interesting commit to see. But actually really cool though. GitHub has amazing API key detection nowadays, and so almost instantaneously, as soon as that was pushed up, almost all the keys were revoked, which is wonderful. And also set up a load of alerts for us. And it's now patched. And so I don't know. Thank you to the security researcher for finding this. Slightly less thank you for dumping our production environment, but you made a point.
Yeah.
And now we're more secure.
Could have been a lot worse, I guess.
It could have been a lot worse. It could have been someone malicious exploiting this. This also is a really good reminder to use the integrity attribute on scripts and link tags when you're importing stuff into a website. You just put a SHA-256 or SHA-512 or SHA-384 integrity hash in there. The browser will check that hash whenever it downloads the asset, and if it's incorrect, it won't load the asset. Obviously, it should never be incorrect because we never change assets, but this is a great reason and a great reminder to have that extra bit of security in there.
Great. Our next story comes out of space.
No, I'm calling this one tech related, just to be clear.
It's not tech related.
This is tech news, not space
It's
news.
not tech news. I will not let this be tech.
Come on, space news is tech news.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Jeff Bezos is involved here, so it's definitely tech news.
I don't agree with that, but we can argue about it later. Blue Origin launches its first crewed flight with 4 crew members, including the founder, Jeff Bezos, along with his brother, Mark, Wally Funk, who is the oldest person to be in space. She was the pilot. and had outperformed. She had outperformed every single other pilot that had tested. So kudos to her for at 82 still being able to fly a spacecraft. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to tie my shoes at 82, much less fly a spacecraft. And then also with this, apparently his name Oliver, we're called Damon, who is the youngest person in space at age 18. This is hopefully the last in the saga of the billionaire space race.
Well,
it won't be.
Has Musk been to space yet?
No.
Well, he's going to go to space at some point then. So
For sure.
No, but he sent his car, so
true, he has sent his car and he sent a lot of things up into space.
yeah.
No, this is really cool to watch. Much like the Virgin Galactic launch, it was very much go up, touch space, and come straight back down. That was Wally Funk on board, who achieved the world record for the oldest person in space, and Oliver Damon, who achieved the world record for the youngest person in space at the same time. And both of them, along with Jeff and Mark, all became astronauts on this flight.
Hooray.
Mason, you don't like space news, do you?
I like space news. I don't like that if I work really hard one day, my boss can go to space. So
That is very true.
yeah, there's a lot of just like, I actually signed the petition to not let him come back into Earth. So
I thought that was great.
yeah, and it's like, just keep him up there. We don't need him. But our next one is actually into really cool space news that I actually like, and it's tech related.
Ooh.
The Hubble telescope is back online. The Hubble telescope was shut down over a period of a month following a glitch with its main computer, onboard unit, and they had to switch it over to the backup computer device and bring it back online. The Hubble is just a feat of engineering. It is still, just run. I mean, I think it launched in 90, I think. 1990, for those of you that were not born in the 20th century, which I don't think Matt was.
Nope.
Oh, now I'm depressed. But yeah, they were able to switch it back online to a backup computer device, and the Hubble telescope is back taking really pretty pictures of the cosmos for us, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It was actually really lucky. Obviously, back in the day, there was a shuttle that could go up there and use its arm to fix the Hubble if something did go drastically wrong. That's not the case anymore. And no one quite knew what the solution would be if the backup computer hadn't worked. Like, we don't have a shuttle anymore. Are we going to build something new to go and rescue it? Or are we just going to say, oh dear, we need a replacement? Luckily.
Oh dear.
Oh
Yeah.
dear, yes. Oh bother. Yeah, we have that.
Our massive telescope is broken.
Okay, well, I think that's all the time we have for the news today, so we're moving into True or False. It's time for our weekly game show. Go to kahoot.it and enter in the pin 868-9181 for the opportunity to win a Sammy sticker pack. This week's theme for our True or False section is, I didn't change it, command line trivia.
Ooh.
Everything here is gonna be Linux command line based. And that is going to be fun in and of itself. So while we're waiting on this, we're going to go ahead and let Kim go off with the word of the week while everyone joins. I'm going to put the little banner up real quick. While everyone joins Kahoot. So if you want to play and win a Sammy sticker pack, join kahoot.it with the game pin 868-9181. And Kim, take it away with our word of the week.
Thank you. The word of the week is buffer. And I have heard this term a whole lot, have probably used buffers in a way I didn't realize, but a buffer temporarily stores data right before it's used. A good example is when you're streaming a video online. Some portion of the video, like maybe 10%, is stored in a buffer. As the video plays, if there's an interruption in the network connection, the video will continue to stream because you have a little bit of it on your computer. And then it will continuously download the rest of the video as you are playing the video. Buffering is super common in computing because it's a way to improve performance. like sometimes hard disks buffer data so that they can access it faster. But yeah, buffer is the word of the week. Anything to add, Matt, Mason, or Chris, about that term?
Well, if you're watching the stream, which you are, if you're listening to me say this, you're probably listening through a buffer.
Beautiful.
All
right.
Good example.
I think it was a great example.
Yep. It is also
unplug your internet.
Yeah. It'll go for about probably 2 seconds. Another interesting thing about buffers is most security vulnerabilities in the world are caused by buffers, specifically in C, the buffer overflow, which is where if your buffer is where you have, stored data and it's a fixed size to basically keep you going, eventually your buffer could overflow because you put too much stuff in it. And that is where almost all of the security vulnerabilities in C happen, is by dumping bad data and letting it overflow and then overwrite parts of your program stack and then maliciously having it executed. So buffer overflows account for most of the security vulnerabilities in like old programs that are written in C.
Nice to know.
Yes.
How are we doing? 13 people in the game.
I think we're ready to go. I think we're going to go ahead and start. Remember, even if you come in late, you can still participate. You may not get you'll miss the questions that you didn't get, but if everyone does really bad, you could still win. So here we go, starting now. So our first, got to do the music.
Oh, the music.
Yeah, I forgot how this thing. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Okay.
TAC is the opposite of the cat command, and prints a file in reverse order. Also, command line pictures are few and far between, so just be prepared for a lot of cats.
Oh, I'm good with this.
Or a lot of random stuff. I tried to make it work. So TAC, T-A-C, is the opposite of cat, and it prints a file in reverse order.
And as a reminder, whilst we're waiting for this question, winner will get some Sammy stickers. So
yeah. This is true. TAC is the reverse of cat, and it prints a file in reverse order.
God. I'm trying.
There are
now.
Yeah.
actually, for this.
Some of these you did it work?
No, I don't have it installed on my.
So mine was default installed, but it is there. It prints a file in reverse. I don't know. There are some of these you have to install, but some of these are just absolutely bonkers. And I'm going to demo a couple of them. So here, like if I have anything, yeah. Let me just make sure. Okay, so yeah, this is the list of top level domains. So if cat is that, then TAC is cat. And it works. Next question. Who came up? Dazzled Lizard, Flying Camel, Adorable Dove, and Melodic Llama are all got it right. So those are the 4 people that got it right. Remember, it's not only about getting it right, but it's also about speed. So if you try to Google it, you're not going to win. The command yes is an endless loop of the why responses. Have you ever been sitting there wanting to push the button yes, and you're like, man, this is too many times. We'll just pipe it to yes, and maybe you'll get an endless command loop of whys. Is this true or is this false?
I just tried this and found out the answer.
This is true.
I would say this is a great way to stress test your CPU if you ever get bored.
It is.
Run a few instances of that, and it will just hammer everything.
Endless command loop of whys. Flying Camel coming up, but Dazzled Lizard not that far behind. Next question. The command lines shows the number of lines in a file.
If it does, I'm learning a shorter way to do something.
Yes, me too.
And this is false. The command is actually NL.
Oh, number of lines. Huh.
Well, number of lines.
Learned something newer and shorter.
Yeah. So if you ever want to see the number of lines, just NL. And I mean, yeah, it prints everything out, but you get it.
Huh. I've been using WC-L.
Yeah, a lot of people use WC-L. So.
All right. Number of lines. Dazzled Lizard.
Yep. And then our next question. Putting a space in front of your commands will keep it from being logged in your shell's history. It'll make you a ghost. Putting a space in front of your commands.
You hear me tip tapping. Yes.
Will it keep it from being logged in your history? This is true. So if we want to demo this, this is my current history. And then if I type the command, I don't know, echo hi, it will echo hi. And if I type history again, it does not appear in my history.
Very useful if you're running commands that have credits in them.
Exactly.
Like to a database and stuff.
Keeps them out of your shell's history.
Very cool.
Flying camel coming up. Dazzled lizard in the back. Adorable dove. You're not out of this yet, but dazzled cat's coming up. So here we go. True or false? The control I command is the same as the clear command. The control I command is the same as the clear command.
All right, Mason, whilst we've got 10 seconds left, explain the thought process to get to this stock image.
When in doubt, dog.
I actually don't. There was a thought process, but I don't remember what it was. This is false. It's actually Control L. So instead of just, I always like, for some reason I like working at the top of my terminal. So if it gets too far down, I always hit clear enter. But now I've got an even, quicker shortcut. I love it. So I learned things today. Oh, flying camel. Oh, did they go up? I don't know if they went up.
They didn't
But
go
we're
up. The arrow shows if they go up.
But they're
Mason,
in a 5.
how did you come up with these questions?
A lot of Googling and just messing around with command line stuff.
Got
Also,
it.
some of them I knew. The command "Who am I" displays the list of groups a user belongs to. Okay, can anyone figure out why I chose this image? What sound does an owl make, Matt?
Oh,
Okay.
do owls make the same sounds in the UK that they do in the US? The US, they say.
There has never been more doubt in anyone's answer than Matt's yes right there, as he questioned his entire life. This is false. The command to do this is ID, which I'm not going to demo because it's ID.
Flying. That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Next one. The command table allows you to format any output as a table and even lets you specify its delimiter. I don't remember how I tested this yesterday. I remember how I went. This is false. The command that uses this is the command column. So you can use column, and I don't remember how. I don't have any good text to kind of do this over. And column allows you to basically specify the delimiter and format any output that it comes as a table, which is really nice. And I should have wrote the command down to do it. But next, the !25 will run the 25th command in your shell history. !any number will run that. Is this true or is this false?
This is the first one I know for sure.
And this is true. The ! and the number allows you to just rerun a command. So if you have a really long command in your history, it's not uncommon for you to grep through to find that command and then find the command number and then just ! that number, and then you can just run it again. Yeah, Dazzled Lizard took over Flying Camel. Ooh. Oh no, but Blue Pony's coming up with the 4-answer streak. We've got 2 questions left. Got 2 questions left. So how can we do it?
Still up for grabs for anyone, I think.
There is a shape-shifting cow that talks in your terminal.
Sorry, what?
There is a shape-shifting cow that talks in your terminal. Is
I
this
want
true?
this to be true.
So do
I also want this to be true.
Is this true or is this false? Okay, everyone apparently just wants it to be true. Yes, if you've never heard of Cowley, you can do hello cloud chats, but then there's also Cowley-F and it checks the files, so we can do anything. So let's look at Luke Skywalker as a koala. Because that's actually one of the files. It's a koala with a lightsaber. Luke Skywalker koala. You have, again, some of these you might have to install, but yes, Cowley is a very fun way. If you ever have a really bad error in your stuff, whenever there is catastrophic errors in some of my things, we would use Cowley things because it's really obvious when there's a cow going, it done borked. Like
I just added install Cowley to my to-do list for the day.
this next one's going to be fun too, but it might also torture you. So we'll see how it works. Last one of the day. If you mistakenly type ls backwards, an ASCII train will drive across your terminal.
I have to go try this now.
If you mistakenly type ls backwards, an ASCII train will drive across your terminal.
But if you type SL, right? Just
SL.
to be clear.
Yeah, steam locomotive.
That picture is quite a picture.
The stock images on Kahoot's pretty dope. People say this is false. Again, some of these you might have to install, but if I type SL,
What?
I get an ASCII train going across my screen. That's why I was going choo-choo earlier at the beginning of the episode, because I was playing with it.
My God, Mason, you really opened my eyes to.
There's a lot of useless
stuff on
command
the
line
command
things. Blue Pony, 8 out of 10. Not bad, but not quicker than Flying Camel. And our first one, is it the Dazzled Lizard? Dazzled Lizard. Who is, if you are Dazzled
The
Lizard,
issue with this fun name generator is we've got no idea who these people are.
it's fine. They know, but they know who they are. So if you're Dazzled Lizard, say hi in the chat. And also email Mason at DigitalOcean.com. I don't know. I don't want to use the. Okay, so I'll put this Dazzled Lizard. Email Mason at DigitalOcean.com to claim your stickers. But I do know is that it wasn't any of you, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
I did very poorly.
Okay, so I've just read the man page for SL.
Yes.
Can you try SL-capital F?
SL-capital F.
Ooh.
Flying train.
Flying train. We have Dazzle here. Well, thank you very much for joining in. Send me an email at mason@digitalocean.com. Please include your name, your address, everything about your shipping address, country, postal code, city, everything, and we will ship you a Sammy sticker pack for winning Cloud Chats, true or false today. And that is all we have in the true or false section. Now we move on to our lightning tutorial, which will be run by Kim, and she will be giving us Kubernetes in Docker, which I believe you talked about last week. So
Yeah.
a little bit. You may have mentioned it.
Well, we missed you last week, Mason, because you were on vacation. But the true or false was one that I put together. It was about Kubernetes, and one of the questions was about this this tool, which is called Kind. It stands for Kubernetes and Docker, and it's a great way to spin up a Kubernetes cluster on your machine without having to use a cloud provider. So you can test out things in Kubernetes. So it's an official project under the Kubernetes project and has its own special interest group, and it's a really great project. So the prerequisites for running Kind, the first thing you need is Docker Desktop. So if you see up here on my menu, I have a little Docker logo, but you can test to see if you have Docker by just running the Docker command. So I've got Docker installed. The other thing you want installed is Kind. So that's there. And then the last thing is you want to use the Kubernetes command line tool, kube control. You just want to make sure you've got that installed. So I am all set to go. So we'll post these in the chat. But like I said, people use Kind to test projects or to test software that they're building in a Kubernetes cluster. But if you're new to Kubernetes, Kind is a great tool for you to just explore. So DigitalOcean has this cheat sheet. It's called Getting Started with Kubernetes, a kube control cheat sheet. I'm going to be pulling some things out of this. And then the Kubernetes documentation has a kube control cheat sheet as well. And so if you just want to run some Kubernetes commands, Kind is a great way to do it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Kind cluster. I'm going to just make sure I get the syntax right. So it's going to be Kind create cluster, and then I'm going to give the cluster a name. So Kind create cluster. I'm going to pass in the name flag. And I'll say cloud-chats-cluster. And it says creating cluster. It's pulling the node image. It's going to be running Kubernetes version 1.21.1. And it's preparing the nodes, starting the control plane. And so what's happening is Kubernetes has a control plane where it has the primary nodes that are sort of the brains of the operation. Then it has secondary nodes where your pods and your workloads are scheduled. And Kind does that all in Docker containers. So it can be done locally on your machine. So now you just kind of wait. And we'll wait for a little bit. And I have a backup cluster running in case. All right. It says installing the CNI. Installing storage class. Hey, says I've got this Kind cloud chats cluster. Beautiful. All right. Oh, and they have a quick start too. Nice. So I'm going to say kube control get nodes and just see what kind of nodes I'm running. All right. So this is the cloud chats cluster control plane, and it looks like it's not ready yet. So we'll give that a little bit of time. If the control plane isn't ready, I probably can't use the Kube API to see pods, but I'll try anyway. Kube control get pods, all of them. Yeah, it looks like actually I can. They're really new. They're like 29 seconds old. So those are like the core services that are required for Kubernetes to run. So if you're someone who is like, I want to explore Kubernetes, but maybe I don't want to pay for a cloud provider to set it up on, Kind is a great way to do that. And then like just start playing around. So let's see. This has some good stuff in it. I'm looking for a YAML file. Oh, there it is. Okay, so a sample deployment. A deployment is how you have more than one replica of an application. And so this is a deployment. It's going to be called Nginx deployment, and there's going to be 2 replicas running. So if you just copy this, I actually have it already on my machine. So I've got that there. And so you can say kube control, apply the file that's called Nginx deployment. And Kubernetes says, hey, I created that deployment for you. So if I say kube control, 0 out of 2 running, so it's still spinning up. And if I say kube control get pods from all my namespaces, you can see that Nginx deployment is spinning up right there. And it's going to take a little while. And then, yeah, just to start playing, I would just like go through this list of kube control commands. So kube control gets services. Kube control gets services. All right, got a cluster IP service. Kube control get pods all namespaces. That -a flag does the same thing. Get pods. Oh, I can't even remember. -- all -namespaces. Beautiful. I'll do one more. Let's do. Oh, this gives you some ways to filter. Yeah, let's do one of these top commands. We'll just say kube control get deployment, and if the name is Nginx deployment, there it is. So Kind is the name of the project. It's an official project under Kubernetes, so there's a lot of really smart and skilled people working on it. you need Docker Desktop running on your machine. But if you have that and you've installed Kind, you can spin up a local cluster. And I recommend our Getting Started with Kubernetes cheat sheet, and then the official Kubernetes cheat sheet to just start exploring. And then if you want to tear down your cluster, use a kind command. So kind delete cluster. And I can't remember the name of my cluster. So let's see, kind get clusters. So this is the Cloud Chats cluster. So
before you tear it down, Kim,
yeah.
We have a question. I don't know if you need the cluster to determine this. The tech guy asks, does this come with Calico?
I think it does, but let's see if the pod names tell us. So that's the networking interface. So kube control get pods from all namespaces. Looks like maybe it's core DNS and not Calico. I'd have to look into that, or maybe it's KindNet. What is the CNI for Kind? That's a good question, though. Mm-hmm. Sabin asks, is Kind the same as Minikube? It's a different project, but it's serving the same purpose where you can run a cluster locally or on machines that you operate. So yeah, it's really similar. It's been a few years, but I had a really hard time getting Minikube up and running when I was first exploring with it. And when I experienced Kind, it was this fast. Like it was this fast. You could spin up a cluster really quickly. You could interact with it. And so that's why I recommend Kind. It's just my personal experience.
Just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating, spinning up a cluster with Kind was literally one command, right?
Yeah, it was Kind cluster create, and then you name your cluster.
That's it. And then you've just got Kubernetes running locally.
Yep. It's amazing. Like I'm glad you are as impressed with it as you are.
It's been a long time. Like I tried Minikube back in 2016, and I also remember wanting to pull my hair out. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. I would hope that after, I mean, it's been 5 years since I've done anything with Kubernetes. So I would hope that after 5 years we have gotten to single command cluster creation at this point.
Yeah.
It looks like we have, so.
And I know Minikube has improved over the years, but it was probably like 2018 the last time I tried to use it. But it's hard to go back when you can use Kind.
Yeah,
or like
blazing fast as well.
Exactly. Earlier this week. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask, does Minikube use Docker? Because I thought I remembered I had to install VirtualBox and it did Minikube on top of like VMs.
I think that's how Minikube works.
Okay, so this is specifically doing it inside of Docker, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool. I had lunch earlier this week with a former developer advocate from DigitalOcean, Eddie Zaneski, and he works now for Amazon, but he just works on the Kubernetes project full time. And he was telling me he uses Kind all the time to like pull down PRs, test them out, like to do code reviews, and so it's a tool that a lot of people use.
Awesome.
So, all right, last thing I'm going to do is tear down this cluster. I can't remember the name of the cluster anymore. So, all right, so Kind cluster delete cloud chats cluster. No, that wasn't right. It must be the name flag.
I think it's delete then cluster.
Yes, good call. Kind delete cluster. All right. And there it goes. My computer is hot though.
Blazingly fast.
Docker Desktop uses a lot of CPU. So.
It does.
All right. Well, that is our lightning tutorial, Kubernetes and Docker. Kind.
That was
awesome. Great. Thank you very much, Kim.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's exciting. Now I have no reason not to learn Kubernetes. It's also on my list of things to learn. So we have a new segment this week.
Ooh, I'm excited.
And this one is going to be just, what do people do on the internet that isn't necessarily the best? And what we did is we kind of set up a little trap. And by trap, I mean honeypot. For those of you that don't know what a honeypot is a server that is secured in a way where it allows anyone to access it, basically pretending to be an insecure server on the internet, but then dropping them into a sandbox and not allowing them to actually have access or do anything of actual fun. And then it logs everything so we can see who's being naughty on the server, which actually might be a better title, Who's Being Naughty on My Server.
Who's being naughty?
That might be the segment name from now on. So
Yeah, I like
I think that's what we're gonna go with. Yay for making stuff up off the top of my head. So there are many honeypot tools. The one I used is Cowley, just because it was the first one I found, not because it's any better or worse than the other ones. And once I figured out how that there was just a pre-built Docker image where I didn't have to actually install it, I was like, we're gonna do that because that's a lot easier. So we start up Cowley. It's written in Python and basically creates an isolated environment. And as you can see, we started it up at 20:49:49, and we got our first attempt of naughtiness at 21:5:10. So it took them 16 minutes to find before the evil scanners on the internet found the server.
Okay, I have a question. So
Yeah.
the honeypot is a server that we spun up that has a public IP address.
Yes,
When
it is
someone connects to it, it drops them into the sandbox environment.
Yes, so it's a public IP address with SSH, and the SSH basically allows for anyone to log in with any username and almost any username and any password. So like if you could type root and whatever you want, and you're going to get in.
Got it.
And it basically just it's really good and it's useful for security researchers because it lets you see what commands they're running, and that helps you like classify. They're trying to run. This is how they're trying to break in. Usually, like as you'll see, and when we scroll down, someone was trying to make this into a botnet or add it to a botnet. So we get our first connection, and I've removed all of the IP addresses. Hopefully, I got them all. So we have a new connection. They're trying to log in. There's a lot of just logs here, but if I can focus on. So we're looking for a working one. Forgot where I should have highlighted it. Okay, this one right here. Root authenticated with password. So for some reason at the very beginning, I think the honeypot was being a little bit weird because it has like a basic user DB, but like root 1 2 3 4 5 6 failed. Root failed with password, but then it worked later. So I think the honeypot was actually still like figuring it out. But we did get an authenticated with password, and they got in. And and this is a very common one. So the first thing that we see, and we see this a lot in almost every single one, is they run a uname-a. The script or the bot is trying to determine what operating system we are running on, so we know which command to run on. So once we've done that, it says that the uname was found, and they do all of this stuff, and then we basically just get to see them run this very long command, cd/temp, and then piped or cd var run, and basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to get into any folder they can get into, and then so as soon as they can find their access into any folder, they go, and then we say, and there was a naughty IP address here, and it goes to sh, and it's trying to download a tarball. Then it immediately extracts the tarball, tries to change it to executable, and execute it. So this is this is just them trying to download, and basically this is what will turn it into a botnet. This right here is one of the primary reasons. One, you need intrusion detection control, and two, you should block outbound connections on your servers unless you know exactly where they're going. Like establish outbound connection. Unless you're doing updates on a server or something, like most of your connections, like say you're a web server, it's going to come in, you're going to get an established connection, and then it's going to go out. But that's an established TCP connection. Initiating a TCP connection from internally, like this is trying to do, like if you had blocked this on a firewall, yes, they might have gotten in, but it would have immediately stopped. So this is one of the big reasons when we talk about why you need firewalls on both inbound and outbound traffic. And as you can see, they continue to keep trying to do stuff, and they're trying to run this, whatever it's called, crane. So they're trying to take over, and it does all this stuff. It tries to do it. It basically, no matter what it does, it blocks them from network connections, and it makes them think that it's actually working, but it doesn't actually do anything.
Gosh, that's so interesting. So if you want to see sort of the patterns people use, or like the the things people try once they figure out the operating system that your server is running. This is a great way to do that.
There are a lot of different interesting ones. We only caught a couple of interesting things in this one. Also, I only browsed the first 15. So this was running for a day, and the text file was 738 megabytes. That's large. That's a lot of logs. So the story that we're not telling you is I actually set up this a honeypot about a week or two ago, and then went on vacation and forgot about it. And I came back, and there were so many logs, and I had forgot to set up log rotate, that the box was completely hosed. You could not there was not enough space left on the disk to even start SSHD. So I had to destroy that box. So if you're ever going to do a honeypot, export your logs.
I should say, we're saying person and people here. I assume that this is all automated.
Yes, it's very much going to be automated, but there was a person who built the automation, hopefully. If not, we have bigger problems.
But I say this is presumably, bots that are scanning for open SSH connections.
Yes. And it's probably very likely that if this machine had been compromised, this machine would have become one of those bots, because that's how a botnet spreads, is once it's infected, it spreads itself. So this machine would have been infected, would have started running the botnet software, probably mining cryptocurrency. That's a big one. And then it also would have had some small tasks that would have gone out and would have also scanned and done the exact same thing. And as you can see, we get a new bad person. We average a new person every 15-ish minutes. Not everybody gets in, because for some reason 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fails.
Or
I think there's
Honeypot is just has a set of really dumb passwords that it just won't allow, maybe.
Well, I think it does, but it had and they're all in here. The last time I set it up, I actually did it really, I actually went in and learned how to do it. And this one I was like, oh, there's a Docker file, Docker run, and I left it. So but it's also interesting to see what users they attack. So root is one of the users. It's always one of the ones that's attacked. Root, we're seeing a lot of root. And I did leave myself some notes here. But again, someone else got in. And again, the very first thing they run, where am I? What OS is this? What operating system set of commands? I used to love setting people up with this and using a FreeBSD box. Or something that's Unix-like, but doesn't exactly behave the way that Unix behaves. And it's really interesting to watch them get different sessions. So this came from another IP address, completely different IP address, same naughty code, same exact thing. So this is a botnet for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So how do the bots or the people find these open SSH ports?
So the public range of IP addresses of cloud providers is known. And they literally have machines that just nmap. They nmap and they scan, and then they try to attempt. If you would see failed connections in your SSH logs on any cloud provider machine. This is just one where we've gotten a little bit more detail, but they're always just scanning the internet, waiting for something to come online and trying. And if it doesn't work, they quit. It's always really interesting to see some of this. So there was a couple funnies in here that I'm hoping I can find. So what do I have here? Oh, so now they're trying guest. So this was actually, so all of these are also new sessions, by the way. I think in these 500 lines, I think we had about 8 or 9 different unique IP addresses attempting to connect to us. And as you can see, that's only the span of about an hour or so. So they're trying guest. So they try a lot of the different ones. So guest service is a username that they're trying. Maybe you have some services and that's what you decided to name it. I don't know why service 42 was the password they tried, but maybe they're just being funny. Root always again, login attempt, service. We scroll through. Admin's always a big one. So this is one of the reasons why you never allow for password authentication, because they're going to keep trying no matter what. Admin password system was one that they used. I'm hoping I can find the one. There was a really fun FTP user. So now they're trying to exploit FTP.
Does this
user
honeypot allow for key authentication as well?
I actually don't know. I didn't try it. I think it just allowed
a lot of these obviously all password logins, and I was curious. I presume there are bots as well that are scanning out there for doing key-based authentication.
I wonder how much they actually try to break that, because trying to break key-based auth is like, honestly, I would be surprised if anyone does that, because like the whole point of hackers is low-hanging fruit. Unless you're specifically targeting someone, it's all about the low-hanging fruit. If you come across a server that only allows key-based auth, why waste your time on it? There's hundreds of other servers out there that aren't protected that heavily. It's basically the equivalent of someone who's coming around trying to rob you, and they just try to open your door. If your door is locked, they go away because it's not worth their time. But if your door is open, they just let themselves in. UBNT, so they were trying to figure out if this is like they try to log in as, I guess, an Ubuntu user. Admin, I'm trying to find the fun one, and I don't want to have to search for it because I'd rather us just test was a fun one. FTP user again. Here, this is the one that makes me laugh. Some poor person named Jason. So someone tried logging in as Jason. If this had said Mason, I would have been terrified.
As we're going through this, I'm noticing like a lot of these are either connection, like a lot of these are failing by the looks of it. There's also a lot of these seem to be going through and then just immediately disconnecting without actually running anything.
Yes, I do think that. I think that I've seen that too, where there's a lot of immediate connects and disconnects, which maybe means that maybe their scanning service is different from their like attacks. Like I mean, like you would have like a group of them that scans, and then you'd have a group of them that like infects. You could be doing it like that.
Could it also be essentially good guy scanning? Right? Is it? I assume there are also scanners out there that sole purpose is see if we can authenticate and then alert people that that's the case.
Maybe. I got no alerts.
Oh, interesting.
So support was there, and then mailman. So someone's over here trying to take advantage of a mail server. And that's the end. That's I did 512 lines. I basically found a place to cut off, and that's what we have for Honeypot. So this is this is legitimate malicious network traffic that is trying to break into your server. So moral of this story, don't use password auth. And if you want to set up a honeypot, they're kind of fun. But make sure you rotate your logs. Otherwise, you wind up with a dead server.
Thank you for showing us that, Mason. And Cowley was the tool you used to set
Cowley, Cowrie, and it's a Python-based tool. They have a Docker image. So basically what I ended up doing is I created a droplet. I logged in and changed the default SSH to the droplet to a different port because I still wanted to get in, but I wanted to host this on 22. Because even if you can actually put your SSH on a different port and it will get some traffic, but it still will happen here. And then I just ran the Docker image as root and then put it as port, and then it outputs all the stuff, and then I just redirected it to a text file. It was super simple to set this up.
I think
that's
like
really quite impressive.
Do that one afternoon. It sounds like
fun. And I think what we'll do is I'll probably run this every now. We'll do this segment every now and then, and if we find anything really interesting. What we didn't see here that I was really hoping for is we didn't see a hex dump, because I've seen those where they legitimately try to inject machine code, and those are fun. I've seen those before, so I think we'll keep this segment around. And if we can find other ways of like who's being naughty on my server, because there's a lot of different types of honeypots. Like it's not just SSH based, like there's service based and everything. So if you like this segment, leave us a comment. Let us know if you're curious about this kind of stuff. It might be a segment we keep bringing back.
Yeah, spinning up a web server I think would be quite interesting. Looking at all the WordPress vulnerability scans that will hit it.
Yeah. We have a question. Do you have a video on MetaLib? I do not have a video on MetaLib. I think that's another. Is that? It sounds like it's a meta exploitable thing, and I don't think that's what that is, but I do not have a video on that. So for our last section of the day, it is time to talk to my co-hosts about what is on their minds with our gentle swaying in the breeze music.
Cloud Chats Therapy.
Cloud Chats Therapy. This is actually, we could always change it to that. This is Cloud Chats Therapy. What is on your mind, our lovely guests? We'll happily talk to you in the chat as well. So tell us what's on your mind, but we're going to start with Matt, because I know Matt is uncomfortable.
Yeah, I am very uncomfortable. It is stupidly hot in the UK currently. And I will justify that by the fact that also in the UK, we don't have air conditioning. You may think I'm just complaining about it being hot. I mean, it's currently 33 Celsius in my office, which is like 90-something Fahrenheit. But that's in my office because I don't have air conditioning. We're in the UK. We have central heating to make our houses warm. We have nothing to make them cool because we're a cold country.
Have you tried fighting fire with fire and just cranking the heat?
No. I do not wish to suffer even further. But yes, no, it's very, very warm. That's kind of predominantly what's been on my mind for the last few days. Been very unproductive because it's just impossible to focus in this heat.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then the other thing that's on my mind that I saw yesterday that made it to quite a few Slack channels at work. Twitter is trialing downvotes. And the internet is unhappy about it. Reddit, very specifically, is very unhappy about this situation. Obviously.
Why? Are they like, that's our thing?
Yeah. We've got the tweet somewhere here. Reddit did reply to it, looking very confused at the fact that Twitter is trialing downvotes.
I mean, every single social media is just stealing everything from every other social media and making one giant social media. So I don't know why Reddit's surprised.
Yes. What's interesting though is I think if you ever heard Jane, she does a lot of research into this kind of stuff. I think she said that currently the downvote button doesn't actually do anything. It's not sending any web requests. It's just there. I imagine that would change. I think Twitter's idea is that it's not like Reddit's downvotes where you have karma and everything. They're just going to use it to try and better sort replies in threads so that actually interesting replies will be surfaced higher up than those that have been downvoted. But yeah, that was on my mind as well, because it's just, Twitter has been very set on just having likes, and now that's changing maybe.
Great. Chris, what is on your mind?
Yeah, I think I'll follow along with Matt, and I usually just piggyback off what Matt says.
Good idea. Same.
I'm going to lean to the Twitter world again. Twitter is testing a new TweetDeck, which has been years upon years since they updated TweetDeck. So I'm excited. It's like my power user tool for multiple Twitter accounts. And finally it's getting some love.
I actually don't know what that is.
Oh, Tweet is wonderful.
Yeah.
So you know how Twitter obviously has its search feature, right?
Yeah.
Basically, in TweetDeck, you can have a whole set of columns that have custom search queries, or you can have a lot of the default views like notifications and stuff, and then you have multiple accounts authenticated in there.
Oh, kind of like Hootsuite?
Yes, Hootsuite, but built by Twitter.
Okay, I use Hootsuite, so yeah.
Let me share a quick thing. I don't think I have like DMs or anything on the screen, but so this one is like notifications from my personal, home feed from my personal, and the cool thing about this is that TweetDeck won't do any of those like, oh, your buddy liked this tweet, and it's like I didn't want to see that tweet. So you have more control over your timeline. You can add in like DMs as well. If I go over here and do add column, you can do all these columns.
Wow, I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah, I've scheduled tweets via TweetDeck. Or like when I've gone to conferences and done a lot of tweeting, I've used TweetDeck as the way to organize things.
Yeah, and you just feel like a hacker, It's just like columns on columns.
Columns on columns on columns.
And you, people don't know this, but Twitter's like search feature actually has some pretty advanced syntax in it as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so, like, almost all my columns in TweetDeck are search queries for those sort of things.
So we can expect an updated version of TweetDeck soon?
Yeah, I think there's a way to force it where you can like put the beta flag in the URL params, but I'll have to double check. I'll get back to you.
I look forward to your tweet about how to do this.
I also look forward to your tweet about how to do this.
Hey, good idea.
Jane has definitely tweeted about this. I think it's a cookie you have to set now. It'll let you get the new UI.
Cool.
Okay. Kim, or is Chris done? Is that all that's on Chris's mind?
I'm done. You're good.
Kim, what about you?
I mentioned earlier in the show that I met up with Eddie Zniski earlier this week, who's a contributor to Kubernetes, and I was asking him for advice about how to get started. And he said, join the Kubernetes special interest group contributor experience. So I don't think I'm quite ready to be doing code contributions to Kubernetes, but contributor experience is how people get involved and how they communicate. So I have joined that SIG, and I'm excited to participate, maybe get a PR in and merged, and It just felt a lot more doable than like a big code PR. So contributing to Kubernetes through contributor experience.
Fantastic. That sounds really fun.
What's on your mind, Mason?
What were you going to say, Matt?
As I said, it's a very nice SIG to work with. They make Kubernetes a bit less scary to get involved with.
That's good, because it is scary. Kubernetes still scares me. What's on my mind? I hate moving and unpacking. I swear, like if there was a legal option of just set the thing on fire and start over, I would have chose that option at this point. Like most of my house is unpacked. I just got those shelves have been like I have spent like a week getting those shelves to where there's shelves in them. Because of just losing the pins that hold the shelves up and then ordering a set of pins that were too big. And then I got the pins last night and they were really, really snug. So those shelves are never coming out again. So I'm just tired. Hopefully by the next Cloud Chats next week, you'll see that my books will be back up and my office will be done. Everything is done except my office. There's a big pile of crap right there because I'll leave stuff in boxes. So I make myself deal with it by pouring the stuff on the floor. So there's just a pile of and honestly, I might throw some of this stuff away. Like that thing's still in the package. If it's still in the package after 8 years, I probably don't need it, right? Right?
Probably not.
It's just,
I'm
just tired of
moving
unpacking.
is hard, no matter how you do it. It's always
Yeah,
hard.
and I didn't hire anybody. I did it myself because, again, I like torturing myself. I don't know why I decided to do that. Every time, oh no, that's expensive. I'll just do it myself. And then a week of driving back and forth, I'm like, man, I should have hired someone.
I've made a pact with myself, which is, if I can afford it, pay movers.
I'm gonna do that from now on. That's for sure. But yeah, that's what's been on my mind, and just everything around packing and unpacking, and where should I put this? How do I want to organize this? That's been my entire life for 2 weeks. I mean, I went on vacation and left a house unpacked. I was like, bye. I'll come back and deal with this later. So, but anyway, that is what's on our minds. So let's talk about some upcoming events. I know that Kim has a tech talk coming up next week on deploying your application or microservice to Kubernetes. So Kim, tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, it's my first tech talk, but the tech talk is designed for people who have maybe done an introduction to Kubernetes tutorial. You know about Docker and you know about what it means to containerize an application. But I will be giving a talk about how do you deploy that thing onto Kubernetes, how do you decide which Kubernetes resource to use to deploy that workload, and stuff like that. So sort of beyond the 101 Kubernetes, but would be helpful if you have something you actually want to deploy and see what the options are. So we've got the registration details in the chat.
Fantastic. We have the details, and now it's time for our favorite part. I've been gone for a while, so I know you've been missing them.
We've missed this.
So it is time for Mason's joke of the day. Are we ready?
Oh, I'm always ready.
Never been more ready.
This one's going to take a little bit of gamer knowledge, so turn your gamer hats on, which makes no sense as a statement, but I don't care.
Turning it on anyway.
Yeah. What happens when you lose a Nintendo game? You ask for a Wii match.
Okay.
That's exactly the reaction that I'm waiting for. It's just, I don't want laughter. I just want Chris's scolding disapproval of my choice of jokes.
No, it actually brought back a lot of nostalgia. Just the word "we" brings back, and Wiimote.
You know, so I still have a Wii U and all the controllers. So if we ever do an in-person Cloud Chats, we're gonna have a section and it's all of us just doing Wii bowling. Okay.
Oh, please do. I have a Wiimote sitting next to me because I quite often end up playing when I get bored.
Okay, well, that's all we have this week for Cloud Chats. Tune in next week as we go over news and other fun things, and just hang out with us and maybe win some stickers. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well,
Right
bye
on.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See you next week.
Bye.